If you're ready to harness the power of your communications data, blast off with Nylas today.
All right, happy Hacktoberfest, Ram. How's it going?
It's going good. It's going good. I really liked our intro video, so I'm really looking forward to kind of showcasing how contributors to Hacktoberfest are harnessing the power of communication data.
Yeah, for sure. So we came on, I guess it was last week, to announce that Nylas would be participating in Hacktoberfest, and you've done a lot of really awesome work to get one of our GitHub organizations in shape to make it possible for contributors to jump in and get started. And I think we've got some cool stuff to share about our first contribution, as well as some things that are in flight from other contributors. And we'll also talk a little bit about how to get started.
Yeah, so let's kind of jump in. I want to kind of showcase one of our first contributors. So we have this on our GitHub repo. So I'm just going to share my screen. Present, share screen. There you go. Let me know if you can see that.
I can.
And awesome. So we have Amit, if I'm pronouncing that correctly. He was one of our first contributors, and he built out a code sample showing how to read account information using our actual Nylas Node SDK.
Very cool. Yeah, so this was like a pretty early one, right? I think we're not sure. This is our first Hacktoberfest actually at Nylas. So for us, like, kind of not really sure what to expect when we got started, but really cool to see that someone jumped in and got, kind of built out something with Node.js. So yeah, I think like what we're looking at here is the contribution. And the way that this kind of happened. Maybe you can talk us through the flow, right? Like, it starts by a contributor reaching out on an issue and requesting to be assigned to that issue. Is that right?
Yeah, so let me just jump into the conversation. We have an assigned issue here, so let me just go over to that first. And it really starts out just kind of starting quick dialogue with either myself or Blog on the repo and just saying, hey, I'd love to take this on. So appreciate Amit kind of jumping in a few days ago and saying, hey, I want to work on this ticket. Can I take it on? And we just assigned it to him. So we assigned it to Amit, and he walked afterwards. He slowly started working towards creating an actual PR that we merged. And in the PR, it was pretty straightforward, just using the Nylas Node SDK. So I'll jump to that section. Going in, creating the Nylas client, or initiating the Nylas client right here on line 6, and going ahead and grabbing specific account information and displaying that in the console. So this is one way you can connect with Nylas. You can get all different information of a specific account using our Node or Nylas Node SDK.
Yeah, this is a cool one because I think it's also like a easily overlooked sometimes. So we think when we're talking about Nylas, we talk about the ability to like connect to, your users' inboxes or calendars or contacts, and of course, all of that's stored in an account on a service provider somewhere. So like the ability to also like get information about that account is super important for developers building integrations with Nylas. So this is a nice kind of like simple maneuver to show off like what you can do with that.
And it was good for Amma to kind of jump in and just start with something very simple. And it's a good step into start using Nylas, first starting to work with different API calls before building something out. And it was also nice that he did a README. And this is something we're also asking for, is just kind of walk us through what does the setup look like, what is required. So any developer can come in and just take this code sample and run with it.
Yeah, one of the things we actually asked for, which is highlighted right here in that first step, is that here you're showing how to create that .in file to any developer who comes and uses this new repo that Amit has created on Nylas samples. So having all of your credentials, like your client ID, secret, and account ID, is super important that we don't track that in source code anywhere, because those just obviously very sensitive data. Yeah. So instead, we want to keep that in a .m file, which is then get ignored. So that's a special file that sits in the repo that says, hey, don't track this .m file. So that's something that we would ask for basically any contributor, because inevitably, if you're using our API, you would need client ID and secret and account IDs to make API calls. So we want to make sure that we're not accidentally getting any of those sensitive tokens or IDs out there on GitHub.
Yeah, that's a good point. And as well, while you're working through a PR, if you're building out a PR with Nylas, feel free to reach out if you have a question or if you have a work in progress PR. We would love to take a look at it and kind of work with you on helping you make that contribution.
Yeah, that's really cool. And I think as a next step, we'll probably have a look at some of our open PRs here.
Yeah.
Because we've got this is our first successfully merged PR, and it gets the Hacktoberfest accepted tag put on it. So we wanted to highlight this one, but we do actually have a handful of other PRs that are in mid-flight. We probably just take a quick high-level look at those on the GitHub organization.
Yeah, let's do that. One other thing I wanted to point out, which we really love, is just having an output, what the output would look like. So this gives the developer, any developer that comes in, I'm about to use this, I want to know what is an actual successful output, or what is a happy path for using this code sample.
Yeah, that's a good call.
Definitely include that in, and that's something we'll ask for from developers contributing. So just showing right now, we have about 5 PRs open that are being reviewed for using different Nylas SDKs or just using the Nylas API to complete specific tasks.
Yeah, and you can see over there on the far right-hand side, like all the comments or conversation going back and forth. So the team here is very involved, and it's almost certain that you'll get a chance to interact with Ram here or with Blag, who's also on this live stream every week. So if you have questions midstream, feel free to reach out. But also, we'll talk to you through the PR process as well as you're knocking out some of the tasks that we have set forth before you can submit the PR.
Yeah, so it's really exciting to have many developers contributing and asking questions and just engaging us in terms of how would I do certain things or if this is correct. And it's been really awesome to see so many contributions so quickly. So we look forward to having more in the coming days and weeks.
Really cool.
Yeah.
All right. So we've had, it looks like, at this point, like 5, 6, maybe 7 developers who have kind of jumped in and are working on something. And again, these are the folks that have submitted PRs. So there may be other folks that are kind of working on things off to the side. If you are working on something, just be sure that you kind of come into the issue that you're working on and let us know so that we can make sure to get that assigned to you.
Yeah, that's a good point. Always start a conversation with us first. We wouldn't want you to go ahead and work on something that someone else has already taken on or an issue that's already been assigned. And we really want to just follow a normal development flow. So as if you come in and you're working with our development team, we'd want you to take on a ticket that only you get to work on and not many people work on at once. And maybe that kind of leads us to our next part in terms of like, what would be like, how would I kind of get started? How can I jump in and start contributing? So definitely take a look at our Nylas samples organization. And we'll share a link as well at github.com/Nylas samples. And if you scroll down, you'll see a link to our Hacktoberfest repo. So inside our Hacktoberfest repo, we kind of go through a lot of the steps that you need to do to either if you want to learn anything about Nylas and how can you participate. So we do have some links to the actual Hacktoberfest guidelines. And we really want you to jump in and just start looking through the issues. So the first place to go after registering for Hacktoberfest is take a look at the issues and the ones with the Hacktoberfest label on them. Once you see one that's not assigned to anyone, feel free to go in and start engaging with the maintainer, either myself or Blog, to see, hey, can I take on this ticket? And one way to see is if you see an assignee, you see over here, we have another ticket being taken on. I believe this is by Amit as well. So these are tickets that are already assigned. So you can also filter for tickets that are not assigned to anyone. So assigned to nobody would be one way to do that. And you can see that we have 30 open issues still to go through and address for building out our code samples for Hacktoberfest.
Really cool. And I think, you've done a really good job, I think, of like labeling these in different ways. So it's kind of fun because like you've got based on the language, right? So you can kind of filter through and, if you're a Python developer, great. You can kind of filter through just based on that Python label and see what else is there. But also you'll notice like some what I would call Nylas product labels like calendar, contacts, and email and so on. And those those are also things where you'll know, like if you're a Ruby developer and you want to build something using email, well, there you go. That second issue that you see right there is create an email label using Ruby. And that's something that you could reach out on this issue and say, hey, I'd like to work on this, and we'll get it assigned to you.
Yeah. So that's a quick overview of kind of working through the Git flow, contributing, and just kind of showcasing what we have going on Nylas. We're at Nylas for Hacktoberfest. Was there anything else you wanted to cover, Ash?
No, I don't think so. Thanks to everyone who is actively kind of jumping in and working on some of these issues. And once again, shout out to Amit, who was our first mover in getting something both submitted and approved and accepted into Hacktoberfest. So we're here to, in part to help you, be successful on your journey towards, getting those 4 pull requests put in, or whatever threshold you're aiming at for your throughout the month of October. So feel free to jump in, and we can't wait to work with you.
Yeah. So excited. Looking forward to more PRs and conversation on the GitHub repo. And yeah, we'll see you soon. Feel free to drop in on our YouTube. So we do have videos coming every week, at least twice a week, so Wednesday and Friday. And as well, we have blog posts coming out, so you can learn more about development and as well development with Nylas.
Cool. All right. Thanks, Ram. Thanks, everybody, and happy Hacktoberfest.
Happy Hacktoberfest. See you.